Greatness flying no bounds. Podcast kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. You noticed there was a little bit of a difference. It might have startled you if you listened to the beginning of my podcast. Usually a little bit of a hard cut in the middle there, but I kind of like it. I made a remix the entry song, or the intro song, so hopefully you like it. I don't know, it was something I wanted to do for a little bit, just kind of mix it up, but I really like my normal music, and yeah, but I did that AI song and stuff, and I like that too, so I just kind of made a mix. But I don't know, we'll see if I keep it or whatever, but I just liked having something a little different, just changing things up a little bit here and there. It's always fun. But anyway, it's Thursday, we're back, and yeah, it was kind of a different kind of day for me today because I didn't go to work. But not for any other reason than the fact that my daughter had some car issues, and yeah, it was the only way I could have any time to help her and still do the show tonight, and you know, not have to work in the middle of rain, which it rained right at the time I would have been trying to do anything anyway. And it was basically my only choice was to just take off of work, which is fine. I have PTO, no big deal. There's not a whole lot going on at work. It's been a little down lately, so I took the day to help her out, make sure she could get to work and stuff like that. So but yeah, AutoZone sucks. They're telling her that the battery's good, the battery's not good. She's upset, thinking that maybe it's the alternator or something worse, which is fully understandable because that would be the next thing in line for the most part. But yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into. I mean, it seemed like the possibility of a battery being bad, even though it takes a charge and it tests out fine, there's always that possibility. I've had it happen before, so I wasn't freaking out about it, but I was a little worried because I haven't worked on a car in a while, and yeah, it's always a bitch. I'm not that kind of a mechanic at all. So I try my best to do what I can to, to make it happen and get things fixed as much as I can without having to take it somewhere and, get railed with, charge after charge. But yeah, this one didn't turn out to be like that. It was the battery. So I got off kind of easy, but it gave me some time to do some other stuff around the house, get ready for the podcast early, stuff like that, which is cool. And I'm just happy that her car's okay. I'm hoping it stays okay. She hasn't had any problems until now, kind of. So it's been good. Hopefully it stays good. And that was an easy fix. And I was like, oof. Luckily, I got out of having to do any kind of real work on the car. So, but you never know when stuff like that happens. And I wasn't even sure if she was going to be able to wake up and drive it to the house today. But she did, and everything worked out. So makes for a good start to the day. Did a little bit of yard work real quick, and yeah, just kind of chilled and was in this room for a little while, messing with things, just getting things ready, which sometimes it's fun to be able to do that without, missing out on things. My wife was working, so I was just kind of doing my own thing in here. And yeah, that was my day. So last night, I was like, damn, hearing at like 9 something at night that I was going to have to, I thought I was going to have to go last night to help her out. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take the day off and try to get this handled, taken care of. It's better that way. And it worked out. So I'm glad. But anyway, enough of that. A few things going on in combat sports and MMA this week. Some allegations and accusations getting thrown around. Lots of stories, stories and stories. It's kind of been all over the place in a way. If you're involved in all that stuff and following things, you've probably seen some of it. If you follow my social media, which is course, not there right now, but it's gonna pop up in just a second. Yeah, there it is. Instagram and Facebook, I'm on the most. TikTok, I post every once in a while, and of course, I put it. Oh, I put Spotify in there now too, because I was talking about that last week. How you can listen to the podcast and you can watch the video, which it's better to watch here on YouTube because that helps my channel grow. And if you like it, that helps as well. And share it and stuff like that. That's always good. But if you follow my social media, you'll see all the stuff that's happening because I aggregate things and send them out back to you so you don't have to follow 25,000 other accounts. I'll give you everything I get. So, and I follow all these accounts. And I make my own, content as well. So go check it out. But it was all over the place in MMA media and stuff like that. Lots of YouTube videos being made about it. So we got to discuss that, of course. That's going to be first on the list. But other than that, I mean, last week was UFC Abu Dhabi. It was a fight night. Not too bad of a fight. Get into that. And then this week's fights. Oh, man. I don't even know what to say about this week's fights. They don't seem like they're going to be the best of fights, unfortunately. And I feel bad. I always feel bad saying that because I don't want to be negative about it, but at the same time, I don't know what else to say. It's just one of those things where when the card just doesn't look great, it's one of those filler fights. It's just leading up to another pay-per-view. And of course, it's the last fight night before the next pay-per-view, which is UFC 305, I think. Yeah. Is it 305? Yes, 305. And that's Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis in Perth, Australia. So that's going to be a fun one. And there's a lot of, there's a few other good fights on there. Dan Hooker's fighting. That's always fun, watching Dan Hooker fight. My boy Tai Tuivasa's on there against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Kai Kara France is back after being out for a while versus Steve Erceg. That's going to be a banger. Steve Erceg's just been great lately. So he got that title fight, which, of course, he dropped. But besides that, he's looked really good, and Kai Kara France is an animal, so that should be good. Dan Hooker versus Mateusz Gamrot, and then the Leech, Jing Liang versus Carlos Prates. A pretty good fucking main card, if you ask me. Junior Tafa is on the prelims. Casey O'Neill and Gilbert Burns' brother, versus Jack Jenkins. Let's see, early prelims. Not a whole lot there. Yeah, but that looks like it's going to be a pretty good pay-per-view. So we're leading up to that. This is the last fight night before then, and that's what happens every time. You get kind of a just not so great card. So we'll deal with it. We'll, get through it. And at least there's fights on. And I know that's one of the things that people hate that's said when there's fight cards like this, but it's just the truth, man. I mean, I hate to say it, but you just don't expect much from it. And you can look at the positive side and say, hey, there's been lots of fight nights like this that turn into some of the best fights. And that's true. There has been, but that's not always the case. More times than none, it's just a pass-through fight night that at least you get to watch fights from the UFC, which is the biggest organization out there. So that's always a good thing. You can always count on the production being good. And, it is an Apex card, though. So there's the other downside. Shitty card in a shitty venue. Well, the venue's not shitty. It's just not having the crowd there sucks. I've said it 1,000 times. I get tired of hearing myself say it. So I'll stop saying it. But that's just one of the things. So that kind of sucks. But in the end, we have fights. And we got to talk about it. So other than that, not a whole lot going on. Just gearing up for that next pay-per-view. And let's see, there's a little bit. Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor were going back and forth a little bit online. And of course, Chandler's kind of saying that he's maybe not going to maybe it was Connor saying it. One of them were kind of saying like the fight's not happening, basically. But this has been the way that the shit talk has gone back and forth. Everyone keeps talking about it, and it's like, can it just fucking happen already? Like, just do it. The rumors are it's going to be in December. I've heard also November, but I don't think November is the case because I'm pretty sure it's set in stone. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic in November in Madison Square Garden. So there's no way it's going to be then. It's got to be December if it happens. But Connor's like, hey, I'll fight the real BMF, Max Holloway, and blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's always a talk about this, that, or the other thing. Connor's out there at BKFC because he's a part owner, and he's out there drinking his forged stout, whatever Irish forged stout in the ring for the BKFC. He's just down in fucking tall boys in the ring, and then afterward, because they were at Sturgis this past weekend, which I mean, obviously not the most fantastic card out there. I didn't even know it was happening. Honestly, it's tough to find out sometimes. BKFC was doing really well with a lot of the promotion and stuff for a while, but it just kind of fell off a little bit. Like, I barely see it come up anywhere, except for when Conor McGregor's involved. So yeah, I mean, it's always exciting. Bare knuckle. There's lots of cuts, lots of blood, lots of action. But it's lacking something, and that's why it's not grabbing full attention from everyone, including media. So it's hard to cover it because I just don't know everybody there. And it's like there's a lot of events with a lot of people's names that I don't know. And yeah, it's fun to watch, but I don't know where I was going with that. The Conor thing. So, you know, I didn't really realize that it was on and Conor was in there. So it was at Sturgis, and afterwards he was at a bar, or after the night before, I don't know which one it was, but this was going around everywhere too, where Conor's with no shirt on and a leather vest, looking like he's like the Temu version of Sons of Anarchy, and and he's got some really short girl trying to twerk on him and get his attention, and he's fully just like with his glass of beer, just looking around. I mean, the video's funny. I should have grabbed it and shown it, but I mean, it is what it is. It's like 2 seconds, and it's whatever. It's funny though. It's funny because he's not very interested. And it's just weird how he's standing around in the middle of a bar, no one else around him except for this girl, and he's not showing her any attention. So that must not have been his type. I won't say it's because he's married, because we've seen other stuff he's done before, but it is what it is. Conor does what Conor does, and we'll see if he does what he used to do anytime soon, which is fight in the cage for the UFC. What made him famous, what got him where he is. Will he come back? Nobody fucking knows. And I don't know if anybody will find out anytime soon. It's going to take the date to be set in stone and then him not show up again for us to know, because it changes hour by hour sometimes. If you follow him on X, formerly known as Twitter, you know all the shit that he posts out there and what he talks about and how ridiculous it is and how ridiculous it gets. But either way, let's hope that he comes back and at least fights one more time maybe, and then retire, man. Just fucking retire. Go enjoy your money and stop worrying about whether you're going to fight again. He says he still loves it, but he doesn't show that very much. Maybe he gets out of his contract with the UFC and goes and fights in bare knuckle. Maybe that lights fire under his ass, because he needs something, because UFC's not doing it for him if he's just continuously pushing it off. There's always a reason why he's not fighting. And I get it. Before it was injury, and then he busted his little pinky toe, and then he's not fighting. And now we don't know what's happening. So yeah, that's my rant about Conor, because it's hard not to talk shit because he just can't get his shit together. So I always got to give Conor a dose of his own medicine.
Get your fucking shit together, my God!
And, you know,
to this day,
he cannot get his shit together. I made my sounds a little more accessible, so I'm using them. But anyway, let's get to what we're here for. Well, there was some fight talk there, I guess, but let's get into all the topics that we have going on here. And let's start with these allegations that are going around everywhere. So, this is, her name's Meredith. She is an OnlyFans girl. And I only say that because it's information that needs to be known. And not for the reasons I usually put it out there, but because it's something she does. And that's not a reason to, I will just get into it. Anyway, she apparently was hanging out with Alex Pereira because her friend wanted to train with him. I guess her friend's like a kickboxer or an MMA fight. I don't know what she is, but somehow she got linked up with Alex Pereira's. I don't think it was his translator. I don't know, but whoever this person was, his name is Mel, she says, and Melvin, I've seen other places, but whatever this guy is to Alex, he was linked up with this other chick, which is her friend, asked if she had a friend that wants to come hang out. We kind of all know what that means usually though, right? You know, your buddy is single and he asked the girl he wants to hang out with if she has a friend to entertain his friend. You know, it's kind of a, there's nothing that's obligated, but you know, we kind of know what that is. It's like a kind of like a double date and like a hangout, see where things go type thing. Like, hey, don't bring a married girl with you. Don't bring a girl with a boyfriend. Bring a single girl that there's potential. I think everyone that's an adult or is in the age of dating kind of knows what that is now. So obviously you don't have to do anything. You can leave anytime you want most of the time. So that's what happened. They got together, they hung out. The other girl trained. This girl was taking pictures and video on the side while she's training with Alex and all this other stuff. And then they decide that they want to hang out later and have dinner and all this other stuff. So it's like Alex and the guy he's with are getting him Ubers. They got a hotel room, all kinds of stuff. It was a little bit weird, but at the same time, like, everyone's adults. They all know what's happening. They all know, you know, what possibilities might be down the road. But things happen and it progresses, and she claims that she can't get him off of her during dinner, which, by the way, there's a picture showing where she's sitting, and then looking down the way, there's like two people in between her and Alex at wherever they were having dinner. So strike number one, red flag number one, because she said that during dinner she couldn't get him off of her, but yet he's sitting far down the way. So I don't know what that means or how that works, but I know one picture is one moment in time and things could have changed and he could have moved. He could have been, oh, whatever. I give people the benefit of the doubt a lot of time, but she has a lot of inaccuracies in her story. So she continues to say that he, like, it's weird too, because it's almost like she knows about him, but she claims she didn't know he was how big of a, you know, star he was or what he really did. But yet she's been to other UFC fights. Before she met them, she went to the fight that night, and she says it's all because of her friend or whatever, but she acts like she doesn't know anything about UFC or MMA, and she does. You can kind of tell. So she even knows his favorite word to say, which is chama, which means let's go. That's what he said it means, but you know, one of the many meanings to it. But she even said that after he, like, creepily checked her out and looked at her ass, that's what he said. I mean, it's almost laughable. Like, I'm laughing, but it's because I know how the rest of this story goes. So it's one of those things where she's telling this story. It's like everything's harmless at the moment. Yeah, okay, if you want to be grossed out by that, cool. But he doesn't speak English, right? So he says very few things in English, and he's telling the other guy to translate or whatever. if she didn't feel comfortable with that, which this happened, staring, looking at her ass and saying that stuff was before they even went to the fight, before they even went to dinner, any of that. It was like after the training session, she says that he tried to kiss her and all this other stuff outside, and she said no. It's like, cool, that, you know, okay, maybe he got the point. But she claims that it was just nonstop the whole time. But one way or another, not being forced, they wind up getting an Uber called for her and her friend by Alex and his friend to come to their hotel room. So it's like, why are you going to the hotel room? Why don't you said you didn't like it. So why are you going to the hotel room? That's odd. Okay. But maybe you just want to make sure your friend's okay. But if she's claiming that things are weird too, why? Like, I have daughters. I would tell them, bro, what are you doing? Don't go. Why would you go somewhere if you don't feel comfortable? If you know, unless it's like a big gathering or something. I know shit happens everywhere, but like, you cannot go to an intimate spot like a hotel room with two guys that you don't really know and you don't feel comfortable around, and that can lock you in a room. Like, what are you doing? Why? That's just not a good choice. And I know not everybody makes good choices, but what the fuck? Like, especially with the way she makes it sound, is that she had just red flags coming up all over the place throughout the entire time they were hanging out with them with the training session and all that. So they go ahead and take the Uber and go to the hotel room. And they're sitting in the hotel room, and she claims that Alex orders food, takes off all of his clothes, and goes and jumps in bed and stares at her in a creepy type way from across the room while he's in bed basically naked, or probably in his underwear. I don't know what, she didn't really say, but, and they're sitting on the couch, her friend and Alex's friend, and he's like staring at her, and she's creeped out and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, could have left. Why didn't you leave? Tell your friend, you know, feel comfortable, just hook up with the dude another time, meet him somewhere else the next day. I don't know. Let's go. Like, let's get the fuck out of here. Or just, you know, go. I don't, why would you just stay there? Especially when somebody does something like that. You're in a hotel room where the bed's in the room usually. I mean, unless you have a suite or something like that where there's separate rooms, the bed's there. So I don't know. I'm not the type to just be like, oh, I don't believe you whatsoever, you're full of shit. But this girl's story is super inaccurate. And if you watch, there was 20 minutes worth of video, like 3 different videos, all equaling out to like 20 minutes on TikTok that she posted, right? Granted, it's gone now. She took it down and she deleted her TikTok. The last I saw, deleted all her social media apparently. So apparently she says that he told her, or just one way or another gets her to get in bed with him. So why, if you didn't want to get, why would you even go near that? But nope, the couch is comfortable, I'm gonna stay right here. Why would you do that? So then she somehow winds up in bed with him, and he starts to like take her clothes off and stuff. Again, why? I mean, I know Alex is kind of a big dude and looks kind of scary, but like, I'm pretty sure. Okay. I'm pretty sure that like, if you should have just not got yourself in that situation with that many red flags ahead of time. But you know, people do weird things sometimes, so it is what it is. Anyway, she winds up getting assaulted by him, allegedly. And there's a lot more details that I don't really want to get into here. I don't really want to sit here and blast her to the extent that the internet is blasting her, but there's a lot of inaccuracies in her story. So her words when she posted took me, first off, she right away says, if only she had known what was in store for her that night. Took me a while to find the courage to come out and say this, but I've been struggling so much with my mental health and I can barely get out of bed these days. It's eating me alive, keeping it inside and not talking about it because I'm scared, but I'm hoping this will help. I'm hoping this will help me heal and not feel so alone. I know some people won't believe me and think I'm chasing clout and stuff like that, but I just want to feel normal again. And I'm hoping maybe me finding the courage to tell my story is the first step in that direction. If any other women who have ever experienced this, I'm so sorry. You're not alone, and I hope that this helps you find your voice again too. So I get it. And that right there makes me feel bad for saying anything I've said so far. But it just doesn't make sense, and it keeps not making sense because there's other things that happen after this. So she tells all this story, talks about it, all the details of what happened and all this stuff, and she continues to, you know, act like nothing was consensual whatsoever, and that she was forced to stay in a room, that Alex forced his friend and her friend to leave the room. So why did her friend not insist on staying there? She was that uncomfortable. So that was weird too. And I get it if two guys are forcing you to do things, but they continuously said that the guy Mel was like the nicest and all this other stuff. So I get it, you know, sometimes maybe that's the person that makes you feel comfortable, but it's just weird, man. Like there's a lot of things that she should have done differently if this was all correct. But it's weird also that her friend who she was with was named Jesse. Says here that Jesse allegedly brought this Meredith chick to the UFC event that night. The incident took place, appears to have unfollowed each other, and Jesse, the friend, has gone private. Now, if Mare, which is Meredith, was telling the truth, why would this happen? Alex Pereira is innocent. So I get that. I understand that looks weird. And that doesn't prove him innocent, but it does prove that maybe her friend is sick of getting the hate for what her friend is doing, which seems to be just making up a story. So, and then you get to this, where she seemingly is bragging about her exposure on OnlyFans due to all this, because someone is giving her shit like the rest of the internet is giving her shit, which I feel bad for that, especially if any part of this story is true and she did feel assaulted. I fully don't agree with that, and I don't think that that's something to be joked about, but it's hard to believe this girl's story if you listen to all of it and you pick it apart. But the person says, nice fake allegations. Hope your failed OnlyFans career produced enough money for defense lawyers. She puts a crying, laughing emoji, and then says, the money I'm making from all of the exposure to my OF will pay well for them. That's not something you should say when there's possible legal action that could be taken here. And that's not something you should say when you have the entire internet after you for lying. And then you're saying stuff like this, and you think that someone's not going to screenshot that. I mean, sure, this could have been faked, maybe, but also, why would you say some shit like that? And it doesn't make any sense. Because if now she's just bragging like, oh shit, this brought all kinds of attention to my OnlyFans, and that's good. That's basically what she's saying here. So it's so dumb. It's so dumb. If this is legit, she's dumber than I thought. So that's her bragging about it, right? Well, now, like I said, she's gotten rid of all of her social media, I'm sure because she's just getting dragged everywhere. People are making edits of videos like they would for a crazy knockout. Like, think of Adesanya knocking out Pereira, right? That crazy edit of like all the flashing lights, him looking like he's actually shooting the arrows, the blow up scene, the fucking all of it, right? Those crazy edits that are cool as shit. They have one of her as she's crying telling the story, and then it turns into Alex Pereira doing the arrow thing, doing the walk he does with his hands up. It's like savage. It's just savage, man. Like, woof. I don't know. Like, I feel bad for her in that case if all this was true of any sort, but she says a lot of things in her story that's apparently gone now, and maybe I should have saved it, but you can find a lot of videos online that talk about it and show it. I just didn't want to have to go through all that video, man. And it was just like, it's very hard to listen to for the fact of how she says it, how she describes it. And you just right away, you get a bad feeling like she's not telling the truth. So it's tough. It's tough to deal with. And I didn't want to go through it all again. I watched it too many times already, and everyone has their opinion on it. All I gotta say is it's really horrible if Alex was involved in this, did any of this, took part in anything like that. Horrible. And I don't agree with it whatsoever. Especially, I have daughters of my own, and then I would do bad things to people if I found out that something like this happened. I don't give a shit if it's the heavyweight champ of the world in any organization. I'm gonna do my best to hurt that person. So, because I wouldn't be able to deal with it. So, not correctly, I would do things. So, so I feel bad for her if any of this is correct. It seems like there was a text thread that got posted too between what seems like it's her and her friend, but it looks like a one-sided conversation that someone is maybe just liking what's being said. But she basically, like, it's like the next day kind of wake up type thing where it's like, well, I feel like I've been manipulated. I feel like I feel dirty. I feel like they planned this. I feel like we got preyed on and stuff like that. And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I know people are manipulative. I know people have bad intentions sometimes and do bad things, but he's a UFC superstar right now. And that doesn't acquit him from doing anything bad, because we know John Jones, we know a lot of other people that have done a lot of bad shit. Conor McGregor's been accused of some things, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see, he's gotten, since he got divorced, he's gotten with some of the best looking women in MMA. And I'm not saying anything about this girl, but she isn't up in that echelon of people. So that, and again, that doesn't mean that there's no way he could have done anything, but it does mean that why does this make sense? And it just, like, yeah, they were cool. They had a training session. I don't know how these people got hooked up together to even do this. How was her friend able to get in and do a training session with Alex Pereira, of all people? And then just continuously, yeah. Anyway, says here, she promotes it all over the place on her social media before it all went away. Her OnlyFans, she posts some very, very crazy things on X. And it sounds like she does a lot of crazy things on her OnlyFans as well. So, I never say that a girl asked for it, right? That is just not okay. That's not okay to say. People get taken advantage of all the time, but this girl's story is along the lines of one that sounds false, or there's a lot of false things in her story. So in the end, what I say is, first of all, it's always not okay for someone to take advantage of somebody in that manner, and assault them that way. Whether this happened or not, that's the truth. Also, though, on the flip side, because I am a male, and I know, I couldn't even imagine getting accused of things like this. So I would just say, also, for someone falsely accusing you can take anybody down a path that is not good, because people can lose jobs, people can lose family members and friends, because just for simply being accused of something like this. Even if it gets proven that it's all false, even for being accused, you can lose a lot. So I feel like if women want to falsely accuse someone just because they're famous of some sort, or they have something to gain from them, or just out of spite or revenge, there should be some kind of consequence for that. Especially when you go on this kind of a social media rant about it. It's just not, that's not okay either. And you can ruin people's lives doing that as well. Now, I understand people that have been assaulted, women that have gone through horrible things like this. I promise you, I feel for you, and I don't discredit you at all whatsoever. And I'm not saying you can't believe anybody, or you should believe everybody that accuses someone of something like this. What I will say though is that someone that falsely accuses somebody and goes to these lengths to put it out in the public eye, for whatever reason, and is completely falsifying all of that information, there should be some kind of consequence for that. Whether you get sued for defamation, or you get some kind of legal action taken against you, that should be a thing. And because this is not okay either, to put somebody's good name out there to get dragged for something that they didn't do. So I hope it's not true. I hope Alex didn't do any of that, but he's a big star in the UFC right now. He's at the peak right now. He's up there. He's done so much stuff. He's in the media all the time, all over social media, all over everywhere. So yeah, that's really all I can say about that. It's horrible. It seems to be fake at this point. Everyone seems to be proving that it's fake. There's a lot of things that are going against her and her story. And regardless of what she does in her free time or to make money or anything like that, at first, all I could think of was, this sucks. This sucks. If this is all true, this sucks. Because he's at that peak right now where it's like, let's not be John Jones. That does a lot of bad things and gets in trouble all the time. So hopefully it's not true, 100% not true. But I haven't heard anything concrete yet. So a lot of things are pointing at it not being true though. So please, guys, be safe out there. Don't fucking get yourself involved in these situations. But also, you never know who's going to turn things around on you when you're out there doing your thing. If you're, younger guy playing the field, or just dating, even older guys dating, gotta be careful who you wrap yourself up with and get involved with. And women, the women that actually get assaulted and have a life-changing event like that happen to them, they don't need these people out there lying about it, so that when something actually happens to someone, they can't even claim it because people don't believe them right away, because people think that it's a lie. I know that your mental state is not well when things like this happen, but you can't be out there lying about it. You can't be out there falsifying these things just for fun or for clout or for anything like that, because these are serious allegations and you just can't do shit like that. So everyone's got to be careful, and I hope that none of this is true for the sake of Alex. And if it is true, I hope it comes out saying that it is true for her sake, because it actually happened to her. But there hasn't been any kind of proof out there whatsoever. Everything actually looks like it proves her to be lying. So that's all I got to say about that. We're going to let that one go now. Rick Ellen, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer your question. You can keep asking some of these questions, but I'm not going to answer some of them, because you tend to have a weird look on things, and if you're trying to bait me into it, I'm not going to take it. So sorry. Keep asking the questions if you want to. Keep watching. I appreciate that, but I might not answer some of them, so don't get mad at me. Sorry. Anyway, moving on. We had some fight announcements for PFL finally, with their super fight division, which is also a pay-per-view division. We have with acquiring Bellator, they also acquire some of their fighters, and Chris Cyborg is one of them. So she's going to be fighting the only person to have beat Kayla Harrison, Larissa Pacheco. So this is the Bellator champ versus a PFL champ, and this is happening Saturday, October 19th. For the featherweight title fight. So they're calling it Battle of the Giants, and their whole little tagline is "Brace for Impact," which seems a little cheesy. And this poster is a little bit weird, with the caution tape and stuff. I don't know how I feel about it. It feels a little weird, but it is what it is. At least they put something out there. They're finally, after probably almost a year of talking about this PFL super fight, league or PFL Super Fight division that Jake Paul announced that he was going to be a part of and all this other stuff. Francis Ngannou and everything like that. They finally have a fight in line. And speaking of Francis Ngannou, they have announced that he's fighting Renan Fajeda in a heavyweight title fight for PFL. So Africa versus Brazil, Battle of the Giants, race for impact. It sounds, I mean, that's kind of what the UFC used to do, you know. Back there, let's see, this side, UFC Resolution, like that one was a little bit weird. What's the other one? Actually, I don't think any of the other ones say anything. Oh, UFC 97 Redemption. It's that one up there. But those aren't that bad. But I mean, Battle of the Giants seems a little weird. Looks like BattleBots type font and stuff. And you know, the yellow caution tape thing, I don't know about that one. It's kind of dope with the hill with the flag and the like the Jesus statue and all that. That's kind of cool. You know, they got the belt at the bottom and stuff. But Francis Ngannou makes his return to MMA finally after a couple boxing matches, fighting Renan Fajeda, who just annihilated his last opponent. I can't even remember who the fuck it was at this point. But yeah, he looks like a goddamn beast. And it's gonna be a hell of a fight for Francis Ngannou, because when he comes up against guys that are like the same kind of stature of him and stuff, it seems to be more of a stalemate type thing. But he did fight Alistair Overeem, even though he wasn't like Ubereem at the moment. Alistair is still big, and he damn near uppercutted his head right off his shoulders. So we've come a long way from that Ngannou, but I don't know if it's still at that height that he was before. So he says he's the baddest motherfucker on the planet, and he says he's here to show people, and everyone's gonna find out why he is that guy. So I guess we'll see. So check it out. That'll be happening October 19th. It's a ways away, but they finally announced it, and yeah, that's next for PFL. So that's all I got for combat sports news. Some kind of downer shit, some announcements. Let's move on to last week's fights. UFC on ABC 7. It was the Abu Dhabi Fight Night card, and we had the main event, Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. It was undefeated versus number 2 in the division, basically. And I think Umar was at like number 13 when the fight, before the fight happened. And then we had Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk in the middleweight fight. This was supposed to be the card where Nick Diaz made his way back into the UFC and fight again after a long time not fighting. And he did not make it to the fight where he was supposed to fight Vicente Luque. That fight was called off. No real reasons why. Hey, what's up, Infinity? Infinity in the chat. So yeah, that didn't happen. Nick Diaz did not fight, which was kind of a downer, but I mean, this card was pretty good otherwise. I mean, there was some entertaining fights going on. And let's see, we had in the early prelims, Cedricus Dumas got a win over Dennis Tululin. It was a unanimous decision win. So here we go again. We started this card off with a bunch of decisions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decisions in a row. That must have made Dana White fucking super happy. But Jai Herbert gets a unanimous decision win over Rolando Bedoya in the lightweight division. Sam Hughes versus Victoria Dudakova. That was a split decision win for Sam Hughes in the strawweight division. And then 2 more. Let's see, Garam. I can't say that last name. That fight was another unanimous decision. And then Shamil Gaziev versus Dontel Mays. Unanimous decision win for Gaziev. Then you finally get some finishes. 3 in a row. You had Q Fernandez versus Mohamed Yahya. I think that's how you say that. TKO for Fernandez in the lightweight division. Azamat Murzakanov versus Alonzo Menefield. Shit, I was thinking Menefield was gonna come away with that win by KO, but Murzakanov gets the win in the light heavyweight division by KO in the second round. Then we get to the main card. Let me see here. We had Elvis Brenner versus Joel Alvarez in the lightweight division. And I mean, this was a pretty entertaining fight for the first fight on the main card. It did go 3 rounds, but there was a finish. It was a TKO win for Alvarez. And shit, I mean, Alvarez looked damn good, man. He came out strong. Just lots of pressure, lots of striking. Brenner landed some decent strikes of his own as well. But Alvarez picked up the pace a lot on him, like quickly. Whenever Brenner was getting some hits in there and landing, Alvarez would pick up the pace and kind of overwhelm him, buckled him a little bit. Let's see. He also had luck with the leg kicks, beating up the lead leg a lot. Brenner did, but like there was some actual damage showing on Alvarez's leg from all the leg kicks. But man, he was just, his striking was on point. Just wins the first, wins the second. Actually, at the end of the first, I thought it was gonna be over then, because he had a pretty good Darce choke on Brenner to end the first round, and I thought it was going to be over then. So but the second was just kind of back and forth, but Alvarez still came out winning that one. And then in the third, Brenner started landing a lot more of those leg kicks and just a lot more damage happening to Alvarez. But Alvarez just took it all with stride and in stride, and he just kept pressuring, landing, dude, the knees followed up by some big kicks, just wobbling Elvis Brenner. So basically at one point he gets him in a clinch and lands a ton of fucking knees. I'm talking like that Muay Thai clinch, and just racking his head down and landing those knees in there. Fucking, I don't know how Brenner took those damn knees, because they were flush as fuck. But he did break out of it at one point. But it wasn't for long. He got clinched again real quick, like barrage of knees again from Alvarez. Winds up hurting him and dropping him, and then Alvarez just kept the pressure on, landing punches with the ground and pound. And there's one of those knees, just nasty, man. But yeah, he winds up hurting him, getting him to the ground, and getting that TKO finish over Elvis Brenner. So Joel Alvarez looking good with his striking and getting the TKO win in that fight. Then we move on to, man, I don't know if you saw I have to bring this up. Holy shit. If you didn't see the weigh-ins, both the weigh-ins were good, but the ceremonial weigh-ins for, oh my God. Yeah, Mackenzie Dern. Wow. And the UFC cameraman was doing everybody a favor with his camera work. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, go check it out. The UFC on ABC 7 or UFC Abu Dhabi ceremonial weigh-ins. Yeah, Mackenzie Dern versus Lupi Godinez. Go check that out, because it's worth a look. And some of you that know Mackenzie Dern, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. And go check out her Instagram too, because that's fun. But dude, I was worried about Mackenzie Dern because she did not look good in her last fight. And Lupi Godinez is she's a beast, man. She has really good striking, and she's just tough as shit. Infinity, he knew that was up. Okay, he must have been talking about this damn delay, dude. I hate it so much, because sometimes I'm like, get wrapped up in what I'm talking about. Oh, he knew what was up. Oh, I just got it. Yeah, the cameraman. Okay, good. I'm following. Yeah, but Lupi is just a beast. So I was worried about Mackenzie because she didn't look good in her last fight, and her striking just went to the shitter in the last fight. She just looked like a entry-level striker in that fight. But she came out in this one. She got back with her striking coach that she was with before when she was getting better at things, and seems like it helped. She came out lots of footwork, lots of movement, which was good because her biggest problem is she just doesn't move that head. And then when she goes to dodge punches, she puts her chin up in the air and like goes back like this. So basically you just like target right there, and she just doesn't stop that. And she did it a few times in this fight, and it was frustrating, but her footwork was great. Her movement was great. She had more head movement than she did before. Godinez landed some hard punches though that got to Dern. Even in the first round, started working on that right eye of Mackenzie. And Godinez just kept landing that left hook, that short left hook that just started doing damage to that eye. But yeah, she kind of dropped Dern in the first as well. But Mackenzie just like kind of acted like, I don't know. It almost, we had a few of those in these fights where someone gets hit and it's almost looks like they slipped or were off balance, but then next thing you know, it's more like they got dropped by that hit. Happened a few times in some of these fights, but yeah, Godinez kind of dropped her in the first, and then Mackenzie Dern just kind of I completely lost my train of thought. I guess basically she kind of worked her way to the legs and tried to get her down. But Godinez kind of let her back up and was like, hey, get up, let's go. And they went back and forth a little bit. Mackenzie Dern caught a head kick while she was trying to basically catch a head kick, and winds up tripping Godinez and getting her down in the first. So that was good. Wrapped her up, got her looking like she was gonna get this arm bar, but she did not wrap it up. They got out of the round, but Mackenzie wound up on top basically and looked good at the end of that. Godinez just was killing with that left hook though, and Mackenzie Dern's eye was just like busted up. Loopy's eye was busted up a little bit too, but yeah, Mackenzie Dern just did well with the takedowns, did well with the submission attempts. They both kind of went back and forth, and yeah, it was a pretty good fight. It was better than Mackenzie Dern's last fight. Loopy Godinez is always involved in a pretty decent fight. Dern was aggressive though, and that's something that helped her a lot in this fight. So in the end, it wound up being a unanimous decision win for Mackenzie Dern, which in the moment I wasn't sure. I thought it was kind of very close, but I guess the aggression and the damage and the submission attempts and everything like that added up for her. And she wound up on top a couple times at the end of the round, so that's good. And she gets a unanimous decision win, but it was 29-28 on all the scorecards, so she basically, had to have won one of those rounds that gave it to her. But Loopy Godinez won one round, and I'm not surprised by that. So it was a pretty decent fight. Mackenzie Dern gets the win. And let's move on to the next fight. Michael Chiesa versus Tony Ferguson. Fuck it. Oh man. Yeah, I don't even know. This one was tough because Tony Ferguson, just everyone's talking about how he needs to retire at the end of this and all that. Yeah, this was his seven fights in a row lost by Tony Ferguson before this fight. That makes it tough. And then he's fighting Michael Chiesa, who was on like a 3-fight losing streak. But Chiesa just, I don't know. He's on the desk all the time, and he just seems like he's more wrapped up in doing the analyst work than he is in fighting. But this one, he seemed to have a little more fire under his belt. So he came out strong first thing. I mean, this fight only went the first round, so right away what happened. And I hate seeing Ferguson in this light because he was so good so long ago. But he just hasn't been good since everything, everything that happened. As soon as he started losing, he gets injuries, dropping out of fights left and right. Too much, man. So, but Chiesa just landing strikes left and right. I mean, Tony landed a couple strikes, but nothing crazy. And yeah, Chiesa just gets him and throws him on the ground, basically manhandles him, takes it back super quick, locks in a body lock, which right away, not good. But Tony's good on the ground, so I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna fight this. But Chiesa locks up a choke quickly, rear naked, right away. And he winds up getting that sub, man. There's that body lock, there's the choke. And I'm thinking, you know, Tony's gonna fight the hands, he's gonna get the hands loose, and he's gonna, you know, try to get his way out and then work his way out of that body lock. And it just didn't happen. It was a quick, I mean, it seemed, I don't want to say it seemed like he tapped fast, but he definitely tapped faster than I thought he would. So yeah, Tony tapped over. At the end, he puts one glove on the ground. And yeah, he puts one glove on the ground. He kind of half retires. He says he's not fully done, but he knows he can't find the UFC anymore. Doesn't know what he wants to do. So he's leaving the door open. And he said he's only putting one glove on the ground. But it's sad to see him go, especially go out like this. 8 losses in a row. I mean, I'm surprised he wasn't gone like 2 or 3 fights ago. But they gave him a lot of chances, and I can understand why Dana White doesn't want to give him any more. But we'll see what he does. There's a lot of other options, and I just hope that wherever he goes, he finds success somewhere, or with whatever else he does. But thank you to Tony Ferguson for all the great fights and memories and stuff, man. When he was on top, it was good. It was fun. And he's a bit of an eccentric dude. He's a little bit out there, but there's some entertaining moments in his career, and a lot of good fights. So thanks to Tony Ferguson for all of that, all the good memories, and hopefully he has a lot of luck in whatever else he does or wherever else he winds up. But let's move on to Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. And the UFC needs a D League. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, Tommy. That it seems like there is something to be said for all the guys that are on their way out, and maybe they could keep making money, but you know, they don't want to diminish the sport by having this so-called D League or Legends League, where it's like pretty clear that it's because they can't hang with the high level younger fighters. But I don't know. I don't know that they'll ever do it. The D League used to be called Bellator, but Bellator's kind of gone now. So who knows? Whatever winds up happening there. But there's a lot of more options out there. You know, there's Karate Combat, shit, bare knuckle if they want to get crazy. And you know, you could go to PFL if they'll take you, stuff like that. Who knows? Anyway, Chito Vera versus Davison Figueiredo. This was not what I expected from this fight. I mean, it was a pretty good fight, but I expected a lot more from Chito Vera. But he starts so slow. It takes him forever to get going. He looked like he was ready to go and amped up in the first. They both started with a lot of leg kicks, but a lot of feeling each other out, a lot of circling. But Figgy's just good with those takedowns, man. He's so fast. He's a little bit smaller. He gets in on his opponent and he gets him down. So it was tough for Chito with the slow starter that he is, you know, to get really into it and stuff. I mean, he was able to fend off some of them, but I mean, he got taken down right away, just over 2 minutes into the first round. And he landed some good up kicks as Figgy was trying to land some ground and pound. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, it didn't look good for Chito. And he tried to rush in with a knee. Like, he tried to do like kind of a flying knee, rushes in, gets taken down again, and stays there for the end of the round. So first round over, he gets taken down a couple times, and he winds up on his back after being taken down to end the first round. So there's your first one, right? Second round, a lot of strikes. Finally, Vera wakes up a little bit, starts landing more, but you know, he doesn't. It's nothing crazy. Figgy gets another takedown in the second round, and then, well, no, he attempted to take. Yeah, that's right. He attempted to take him down in the second round, but Vera was able to fend that one off. So he didn't get taken down in the second round, but then in the third. So it's kind of 1-1. It seems like maybe, or 2-1 Fig or 2-0 Figgy. Who knows? But third round, Figueiredo, 2 takedown attempts, doesn't get them right away. But he actually dropped Chito Vera in the third round, which is not something that's been done before. So to see Chito Vera get dropped by somebody smaller than him, came up a weight class. Yeah, that was crazy. I wasn't expecting that one. But first time ever getting dropped, he gets dropped by Deiveson Figueiredo. So that was a crazy one. It was a big right hand. Followed up with a big kick and a knee that kind of wobbled Chito some more. Yeah, and then he was just kind of like feeling himself a little bit, just being like, shit, here we go. And you know, you could see the change. You could see him thinking, okay, here's my chance. Try to take it in there, try to get the finish. He threatened with a lot of takedowns, but Vera was able to kind of defend a little bit, make it more of a fight. And then Figueiredo tries to bait him at the end, but nothing really happened. Figgy wins by unanimous decision, 29-28 times 2 and 30-27. So only one judge thought he won all 3 rounds. It was 2-1 for the other 2 judges, but Figueiredo gets the win there after dropping Chito for the first time ever. So I think Chito needs to just work on coming out a little stronger and doing what he does towards the middle of the fight at the beginning of the fight. And maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say. That's the only thing I can really see. I wish he would come out stronger, because we know what he can do, but he just doesn't follow through. So let's see. Then we had Shara Bullet versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, and I'm pressing the wrong fucking buttons. Wow. I didn't go through any of that. I'm too busy talking about it. I didn't go through any of the damn pictures. And this is why sometimes when I took, here's the thing, I took notes this time, and I'm just like trying to remember my key points, but then I'm forgetting to push. I gotta get my shit together. But I get wrapped up. I've been wrapped up in like all of this, and yeah, I got all wrapped up. But I should have been pushing these buttons as I was talking about it, because that tells the story. But I got wrapped up, so it's all good. Then I remember to do it here, because now we got Shara Bullet versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. And yeah, this was Shara Bullet's undefeated, and it's one of those things where you don't know, like, is this the time he gets beat? Because he hasn't finished a fight in his past couple fights. Since he's been in the UFC, I don't think he's finished a fight. But he's undefeated still, and Oleksiejczuk is a good opponent. So it seems like this one was set up where kind of a step up in competition. So dude, Shara Bullet he's a kicking machine. Like, that's what he does. It comes out with kicks and knees. He's kicking constantly, lots of footwork, explodes with the knees. So that's one of the things that he is good at and he's successful with. So he's constantly landing the head kicks, the knees, and he's constantly throwing them. So he's gonna land more times than you would think, especially if he's just doing it quickly. So Oleksiejczuk, though, he put up a good fight. He landed a couple punches in there, and he was able to catch Magomedov a couple times. Looks like Shara won the first round. The second round was kind of up in the air, I think, but I feel like he did a lot of body work, which was good. He kept landing to the body. It was kind of those quick surprise shots where it was like, did he actually just hit him or not? But I don't know. This was kind of it was a pretty fun fight actually to watch, because I mean, I'm thinking that it might get ended quick, but then you see Alex Pereira come back and actually do well with his striking. But dude, Char Bullet with those knees and those fucking kicks, man, he's just so fast with it. Let's see, what else did I have here? Yeah, let's not forget this. Here's another. There we go. Yeah, he busted it. Oh, that was the other thing. That nasty elbow. He got that up elbow, cut him on the fucking head. That shit was, that was nice. Busted it open and got him to, dude, he was draining blood. Then he comes up with this punch and he fucking opens up the bottom of his eye too. So those were a couple strikes that were really, really good for Magomedov and kept him winning in these rounds. And Alex Pereira caught him a couple times, took him down, I think, at least once. But it was just a lot of the same throughout the entire fight. The kicks, the knees, and then just good striking, good footwork. Char Bullet gets the win. Let's see, by unanimous decision, 30-27 times 2 and 29-28. Then he did something weird and he calls out Nick Diaz. I'm not sure why. Nick Diaz was supposed to be on this card. I don't know why he decided to call him out. It was kind of weird. Kind of weird call out, as far as, like, he obviously didn't fight this and there is no talks of him coming back or when yet. So maybe that's why he decided to take that opportunity to say, hey, I'm calling you out or whatever. But I don't know, it seemed weird to me. But it was a good win for him, and he continues to be undefeated. Let's move on to the main event. After I show one more knee, because I'm just, you know what it is? I messed up the order of these buttons. So every time I think I'm on one, I am on the wrong one. So that's what got me fucked up here. This second line of buttons. And I had extra time to prepare today, and I still fucked it up, I think. Unless it's just me. Who cares? Whatever. It's all there. We're gonna keep going. Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. And fuck. I thought Corey, I know Corey folds a lot. And not in the way that you would think. It's a lot of just doesn't do enough, even though it seems like he's doing the most. And comes up short sometimes. But Umar is a beast, undefeated for a reason. And it's just one of those things that you think someone is gonna be the dominant one and he's not. And that's kind of what happened this time, because I thought Corey being the number 2 fighter in the division, I was thinking that this might be a harder fight for him, but this might be Nurmagomedov's first loss. And instead, yeah, that wasn't the case. Corey came up a little short, so that sucks for him. But the thing is it was the takedowns, man. Every round in the last minute or 30 seconds, Umar was taking him down every single round. And even if Corey got back up, he would still get taken back down. So, you know, but when he wasn't getting taken down, Nurmagomedov was still landing good strikes as well. So that was one of the things that that helped him in this as well, because Corey has good striking, right? And he's the one doing a lot of big kicks, flying kicks, spinning kicks. But Umar was just relentless with those damn takedowns. Even though Corey kind of stifled him in the first couple rounds a little bit, he still got taken down because that relentless Dagestani fucking wrestling, right? So, yeah, Umar caught him with the striking, got him with the takedowns. The wrestling was on point as usual. That's what you expect out of a Nurmagomedov, and Umar is the same way. But those round ending takedowns is really what killed Corey, because even if he looked to be winning, he gets taken down in the last minute and kind of held there. So that was tough to overcome, and that was scoring a lot of points for Nurmagomedov. So 49-46 times 2. 50-45. Umar Nurmagomedov stays undefeated. Unanimous decision win. Only one judge saw all 5 rounds for Umar. The other 2 judges had Corey winning 1 round out of the 5. So bit of domination there, but again, it's because almost every single round was him getting taken down at the end, no matter what was happening before that. And he wasn't doing anything that made him be overwhelmingly the winner of any round. So except for one in 2 of the judges' eyes where maybe he edged it out. So Umar Nurmagomedov stays undefeated. Looks like he took Corey's ranking, and now he's ranked number 2, which 13 to number 2 is fucking crazy. But I don't know if that's official. I think it was, but damn, that's a hell of a jump. Sounds like he might be fighting the winner of Merab versus wait, is that the right division? I feel like that's off. Would it be the winner of Merab and bantamweight winner of Merab and Sean O'Malley? So yeah, that's 135. Yes. Okay. I gotta make sure, but I might be wrong. Why do I feel like I'm wrong about that? Nope, I'm right. Yeah, Merab and Sean. So anyway, there's people talking about Peter Yan versus Umar Nurmagomedov too, because I think that's number 2 and 3 now. So that could be a fun fight too. But overall, shit, Umar's got some competition ahead of him, because now with that ranking next to his name, he's definitely going to be getting step up in competition. So moving on to this week's fights and getting to the end here, we got Marcin Tybura versus Sergey Spivak. It's the second time they've fought. The first time I believe Spivak won. So this is a rematch here, and like I said, this is a filler card for sure. Fuck, I don't know what else to say about it except that because there's just not a lot going on in this card. That's why the poster barely has them 2 on it. It's a heavyweight bout between them. They're the main event. I get it. UFC Fight Night. It's Vegas 95 fucking Apex card. I don't know what else is against it. It's, fuck. Let's see. We have one. Hold on. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know if that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 6 fights on the main card. Holy shit. The prelim card is very, very short from what it's showing here. Stephanie Luciano versus Talita Alankar in the strawweight division. Yusuf Zalal versus Jarno Aarons in the featherweight division. Jonata Denise versus Carl Williams in the heavyweight division. Carol Rosa versus Penny Kianzat in the bantamweight division. That is your undercard. That's insane. Because there's been so many changes in this card, and I think that's why. Let me look and see. Yeah, holy fuck. That is a small card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prelim fights and 6 main card fights. That's kind of crazy. You don't see too many fight cards with only 11 fights on it, but sometimes it needs to happen, and an Apex card is where it needs to happen. So let's get to the main card here. First fight of the night on the main card, Toshiyomi Kazama. I'm always having trouble with these names. And then you get to an even harder one, Charalampos Gregorio. I believe that's how you say his name. So, I know Gregorio's part of the Matt Serra, Ray Longo camp. So he's up there with those guys in Jersey / New York. And yeah, it sounds like they're pretty high on this guy, but he is coming off a loss, and he's only had 1 fight in the UFC. And Kazama's only had 2 fights in the UFC, and he's 0-2 as well. So a couple guys coming off of losses have not yet won in the UFC. 8-4 overall though for Gregorio, and Kazuma's 10-4, similar records. And then, I mean, nothing impressive here in all these categories. Gregorio doesn't go to the ground much, it seems like, because he has not won or lost by submission. 6-1 in KO TKOs though. Doesn't have the best of luck in decisions. And I think only submissions really stand out for Kazuma, so there might be something there. Kazuma, if it goes to the ground, looks like might be able to submit Gregorio, because he's got 5-0 in submissions. But Gregorio has not been like submitted yet, but he hasn't submitted anybody either. So we'll see. Maybe he has good defense on the ground and just doesn't finish his fights there. But yeah, that's your first fight of the night on the main card. Then we get to Yana Santos, formerly Kunitskaya, versus Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler's that girl. I covered this and I say this every time, but she's that girl that got hit in the cage and just turned her back entirely on her opponent, going from one side of the cage to the other, and just runs, like sprints to the other side of the cage, only to turn around and get hit again because her opponent followed her and then just knocked her shit around. It was just funny as hell. That was one of the best like gifts for a while there for me. But you got these two fighting in the bantamweight division. 6-2 for Chandler, 14-8 for Yana. Looks like Chandler's got a lot less fights, and she has not lost by KO, TKO, or submission. Yana has 7 wins by KO, TKO. She's got 2 losses by submission to her 1 win, and 6-3 in decisions. She's on a 3-fight losing streak, but Chelsea Chandler's on a coming off a win. Let's see who Santos has. Her losses are to Carol Rosa, Holly Holm, and Irene Aldana. So I mean, Holly Holm and Irene Aldana, damn, those are tough opponents there. So she's been fighting some of the bigger names: Ketlin Vieira, Aspen Ladd, Marion Renault. She's fought a lot of people, but she is on that 3-fight losing streak. And Chelsea Chandler is coming off a win to Josiah Nunez. Her loss against Norma Dumont was the one she went running away. That was July of last year. I'm pretty sure that was it, because she definitely lost that fight. That's her only loss in the UFC. So yeah, she hasn't had a lot of big opponents. Yana Santos has had way more bigger names that she's fought. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, Chandler's kind of bigger, I would say. I mean, they weigh the same, but she's like bigger stature, has good striking. But I feel like Yana Santos can hang with her in anything she does. So I guess we'll see. I mean, this is just kind of one of those fights. It's like there's not really any stakes to this fight. It's just to get a win or a loss on your record, basically. So that's about it. But moving on, we have Damon Jackson versus Chepe Mariscal. It says here, let's see, do I have this? I do have this out of order. That sucks. So this is actually the co-main. There's been so many changes to this card, and I should have checked before, but I literally did this last night, and this was the order it was in. So I don't know why the hell I don't know why the hell it's mixed up, but this is probably going to be your co-main event. Damon Jackson versus Chepe Mariscal. Who cares? We're just covering it. We're just taking a look at the card. So whatever. But 23-6 for Damon Jackson, 16-6 for Mariscal. Only standouts really, I mean, 15-1 for Jackson in submissions, 3-0 for Mariscal. So with 15 submission wins, Damon Jackson is damn good on the ground, I would say. And on top of that, he's only lost once by submission. You got Mariscal, who has not lost by submission ever. So if it goes to the ground, you know Jackson's going to be looking for that submission. But will he be able to hand Mariscal his first submission loss is the question. Both these guys are coming off wins. Mariscal is on a 3-fight win streak. Damon Jackson is coming off a win to, let's see, Alexander Hernandez, which is a pretty good win for him there. Before that, he had 2 losses, Billy Quarantillo and Dan Ige. Those are big names, not easy opponents, so can't blame him there. Mariscal is shit. He's kind of on a, not kind of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's on a 6-fight win streak, but only 3 of those are in the UFC. Trevor Peek, Jack Jenkins, and Morgan Charrier, which is this fight here. 2 decisions and 1 TKO. That last fight being a split decision to Charrier. So yeah, he hasn't gotten a submission for a while. It's been, damn, since 2018. But if they get on that ground, he's got to have that good submission defense against Damon Jackson. So I guess we'll see what happens in that fight. That is your co-main. Apparently I have it out of order, so let's go over the rest of the card. Nikolai Veritnikova, I think, versus Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow seems to have a lot of hype around him. A lot of people talking really highly about him. He is undefeated, 8-0 overall. He's only fought once in the UFC and he got a win. 5-0 in KO TKOs, 1-0 in sub, and 2-0 by decision. Obviously coming off a win. I only put the 1 there because that's his only win is in the UFC, or his only win in the UFC is his only fight in the UFC. But technically on an 8-fight win streak. Nikolai is on a 3-fight win streak. None of those are in the UFC because this is his UFC debut. 12-4 overall, 9-1 by KO TKO, 1-1 in subs, and 2-2 by decision. So yeah, he's making his debut against somebody like Danny Barlow, who seems to be highly touted. Everyone has a lot of good things to say about him. I haven't really followed him that close, but it sounds like he's got really good striking. He's really talented. And yeah, I have seen him fight because I remember this fight, which I don't know why I didn't, but Josh Quinlan was this fight, and I do remember because that was February of this year. So he did look good in that fight. TKO by punches in the 3rd round is how he won that fight. So looking good for him, looking to keep that upward trajectory and keep impressing in the UFC. Let's move on to Chris Gutierrez versus Quang Lee. This was a replacement fight. I don't even remember who Gutierrez initial, Basharat, I think, was his initial opponent. But yeah, so he's 20-5 overall, 8-3 in the UFC, 9-0 by KO TKO, 1-1 by sub, and 10-4 by decision. His last fight was a loss to Song Yadong, but he has that big win. Oh my God, I forgot. It was that big KO knee to Frankie Edgar where he knocked him the fuck out. That was horrible. In 2022, has a loss to Pedro Munoz. But yeah, a lot of decisions, 3 in a row after that big KO knee. But he's fighting another guy making his UFC debut, 8-0 overall, 2-0 in by KOs, 3-0 in submission, 3-0 in decision. Obviously on a 7-fight win streak because, you know, that's how many fights he's won since leading up to his debut here. A little bit older though, 32. I don't even think I said his name. Quang Lee, I believe that's how you say it. But again, this is a late replacement fight. Basharat, I think was his name, was supposed to be Gutierrez's initial opponent. Lots of changes happening on this card, so it was tough to keep up with. And yeah, I didn't expect the order to change like it did, but it did. So Gutierrez, some good strikes here against Song Yadong. Who is this? Oleg Alatong? Fuck, I don't even know who that is, honestly. There's a big against Pedro Munoz. That was a nasty one. And then you got Quang Lee. I really couldn't find a lot on him because this is his UFC debut. He's been in other organizations. So again, he's 8-0, making his UFC debut. Looks like he spent most of his career so far in the LFA. So this should be an interesting fight. Let's see how he debuts and see how Gutierrez does against an undefeated, a little bit older fighter. Let's move on to the main event and wrap this shit up. Marcin Tybura. I'm just disappointed in this card, man. Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about because there's like so many debuts on the main card of all things. It's a very short card, and yeah, they should have. I don't even know what they should have done at this point. This is a tough one, but Marcin Tybura with that horrible fucking haircut versus Sergey Spivak. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, both these guys. Tybura is 38 years old. Spivak 29. A lot of fights between these guys. 25-8 for Tybura, 16-4 for Spivak, 12-7 in the UFC for Marcin Tybura, 7-4 for Spivak. Let's see, they're 8-5, 8-0, and 9-3 in those categories. 7-3, 7-0 in submissions. So there you go, submissions. Neither one of them have ever been submitted. So get them to the ground and let's see who wins, because they both have some decent wins in the submission category. They both have some losses in the KO TKO one, and 2-1 by decision for Spivak, 9-3 for Tybura. Let's see, Marcin Tybura is coming off a win. Who was that win over? Tai Tuivasa. Oh fuck, my boy Ty got the loss against. That was a submission by rear naked choke. Marcin Tybura getting that win, and then before that he lost to Tommy Aspinall, who's the interim heavyweight champion right now. So Tybura's got a little bit of everything, and that's what makes him good, because with Tai Tuivasa, Ty was winging those punches at him, and he was doing a good job of just kind of being strategic, trying to land where he could, and then when he did land on him, he was able to get him down to the ground and submit him. But like I said, he's got a little bit of everything. His wrestling's okay, his striking is good, he's got some power, and then he's got submissions as well. So pretty well rounded for Tybura. Here's some ground and pound here, and then the submission against Tai Tuivasa, which I hate showing because I love Tai, but that is his last win, and that was a good one. As you can see, Tybura's busted open because Tuivasa did land on him a little bit and you know, bloodied him up, but he still lost. Then we got Spivak. This motherfucker's pretty big. I believe he's gonna look pretty big against Tybura too. But yeah, he manhandled Derek Lewis with this choke and threw him on the ground, which was pretty impressive because Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, is fucking huge. So sad to see him get ragdolled like that. But yeah, Spivak looked good. Got some ground and pound here, and then he's got his submissions as well. So like I said, if it gets to the ground, they're definitely gonna be battling for those submissions, and they're both pretty good at them. Here he is submitting Derek Lewis after throwing him on the ground like that. Disrespectful. But it happened. So I mean, it could be exciting, maybe not, who the fuck knows. It's a filler card rolling up to UFC 305. So that's what we're all waiting on. That Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya is definitely the one we're waiting for. So I don't know. I guess enjoy the fights for the fights. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you can really do with fight cards like this. It's gonna be a quick one. I think it said the main card starts at like 4 p.m. so it's a little bit earlier. Yeah, 4 p.m. start for the main card. They usually do that. They start a little bit earlier when it's in the Apex. Yeah, at least we got some fights to watch. There's not a whole lot else going on this weekend as far as combat sports. So yeah, it's kind of a down week. Next week though should be fun. UFC 305, the pay-per-view, will be, going over that. I'll probably have Infinity in here, and we'll be talking about all those fights on the pay-per-view card. And I haven't decided yet if I'm doing a watch party or not. I kind of got a little bit annoyed by the last one and all the technical difficulties. I think I have that sorted out. So I'm just going to wait, and I'll make up my mind next week whether or not I'm going to do it. Maybe I'll just sit and enjoy them for once. But, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'll make up my mind, and I'll let you know. Follow on my social media. Once again, it's not going on the second I want to talk about it. There we go. Follow on my social media. You can find it down there. It's been going on down there the entire time. So check that out. You can find out all the stuff that I'm planning on doing and everything like that, while also, finding out all kinds of combat sports news and stuff. So check that out, and then don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube and help me grow the channel. That would be great. I'm just looking to hopefully get some more subscribers and some more views and stuff like that. The normal stuff, but I do the show regardless. I have fun. I enjoy it. So I just keep it going. So I appreciate everybody in here. Rick Allen again. I'm sorry I didn't answer your question. Not going to answer questions that I don't really like. So I appreciate the interaction though. I got to say it because I'm just giving you a reason why I didn't answer it. Keep watching though, man. Thanks to everybody else, Tommy and Infinity in the chat, and everyone else that tuned in at any point in time or is watching this later. Take it easy. I'm out of here. See you next week. Peace.